Hello there. Welcome to Effortless. My name is Caitlin Kessler, and I'm a mindset coach for business owners who are ready to shift into a more aligned business. So, I wanted to share a kind of different episode with y'all today, a little more vulnerable about some things that have been going on in my world. So, there's actually been a few different situations coming up over the past month or so around this idea of integrity, which is one of my highest values. And as I was sitting down to kind of outline this episode, there was a few different stories that I thought I would share on here. But as I went to kind of outline them, I realized that maybe it wouldn't effectively make the point that I wanted to make and be kind of just like a bunch of vague stories about, people and things that I can't fully explain. So it would be confusing. And I really wanted to make sure that this was something you could listen to and potentially, learn from, gain something from. So in that, I've decided to share one specific story because I can not be vague about it, and the kind of aha or breakthrough that was associated with it, because I think it might be helpful for others to hear and to, create a space and some questions to reflect on for yourself. So, recently, like really recently, I was watching an Instagram live from someone that I follow, and I really love their content. We're not like friends. She doesn't know me, but I follow her. Her name is Fallon, and she was talking about a situation that she was experiencing in her business where a lot of her followers and her community were basically being targeted by someone else who was using a air quote strategy for Instagram lead generation. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole story there because it's definitely her story to tell. And I 100% would love for you to go check out her Instagram and watch it. It's a really, really good live, and it's saved on her feed. Her Instagram is Fallon Satterfield. I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name right, but I'll put that in the show notes. She's really awesome. And I wanted to talk about what listening to that live opened up for me. So in listening to it, she was sharing about this technique that she was realizing was happening to her followers, and how that technique is really rooted in this idea of like colonization type behavior. And she explains that really well. So definitely go watch her live. But in listening to that, something dawned on me in a really big way. So this strategy, again with quotes, that she was sharing wasn't one specifically that I have heard of or been taught or used before. But it was really similar to ones that I have been taught and ones that I've even tried in my business. And what really stood out to me was that while she was explaining it and explaining why this is problematic behavior, my first thought was, oh, wow, I never realized it was like that. I never realized how this behavior was problematic. I just kind of thought it was annoying. And then my second thought was, yeah, but you knew it didn't feel right, which is what I really want to talk to you about today. So this is all obviously an example. I mean, it really happened, but I'm using this as a explanation for a bigger concept. So we're definitely going to zoom out a bit too. But the example of the strategy that I have learned before is going and looking at maybe your competition or just people that offer similar things to you, looking at their Instagram, seeing who comments on their posts, and then going and commenting on those people's posts and interacting with them, which I have learned with air quotes. There's a lot of air quotes in this episode. I've learned this technique at least 2 different times inside of paid programs. And I know I've heard countless other people say it for free. And for the first time this year, I actually tried it. I wanted to grow my Instagram, and I had this whole system that I was following of like interacting in certain ways. And it was quite the process, right? It was honestly, it was a lot of work. And I remember I did it for 1 week, and I didn't like it. It felt terrible. It was draining. It took a lot of time, I thought. It was frustrating. It felt really inauthentic. And a week or 2 later, I was kind of joking about it, but also serious about it when talking to my coach. And I was like, this is just not for me. Like, I just can't keep up with it. If that's what it takes to grow your Instagram, I guess I'm just not interested, right? And at the time, I really thought it was because it was just a lot of work and didn't really seem to yield much results. But fast forward to like a week ago when I'm watching Fallon's stories or her live, and I'm realizing, yeah, but you knew it didn't feel right. And I was like, oh, I knew it didn't feel right. And I did it anyway. Even though it was only for a week, I knew on day one, I knew on like outlining the process before I even actually took any action, I knew it didn't feel right. And I stuck with it. And when I gave it up, it wasn't, at least, consciously, it wasn't because of integrity. It was because I thought it was just like annoying and hard. So maybe this doesn't sound like a really big realization to you, but to me, this is like a huge thing because I pride myself on operating from alignment, from listening to my intuition, listening to my gut, listening to my instincts. And yet here I was realizing a huge example, a prime example of something that I did recently this year that didn't honor that. And so I immediately was like, I'm going to journal about this. Like, I got to dive in. Right. And so where I kind of landed in reflecting on this was this realization that part of me knew it felt wrong and I couldn't explain why. And because I couldn't explain why, I wrote off that instinct as fear or laziness or something. I thought, well, the person telling me to do this makes more money, has more followers, is more successful than me. So she must know better than me. And I shut down the instinct or the intuition. Now, in the time since all of this happening, one of the other many stories that I referenced at the top of the episode, in the time since this lesson, I have had my eyes open to this idea that you can very much present a problem and not offer a solution. You've definitely heard people say, I've said it, don't come to me with a problem unless you have a solution, right? Well, I've come to learn very recently that that is extremely problematic behavior and silencing behavior. You are 100% allowed to say that you see a problem and not be the one responsible for trying to figure out the solution right then and there. And so I can see how a few months back with this Instagram thing, I noticed the problem, but I couldn't find the solution to why it felt weird or off or bad. And so I disregarded it, right? Like I did that to myself. I was like, well, you got a problem, but you don't got a solution. Then let's cut it out. Let's get going. And knowing what I know now, I think there's about 100 healthier ways to approach this. But I think the main one would have been to say, hey, something feels off here. Let's explore more. And while we explore, let's honor that instinct instead of ignoring it and telling myself that I'm just being lazy or silly. So now that we've really dug into this, very specific example, I do want to zoom out a bit to the larger conversation here. What are the moments that you are actively ignoring yourself and outsourcing your decisions, your actions, your growth onto someone else? When are you saying, like I said, oh, she must know better because of some arbitrary marker of success, like number of Instagram followers? I think it became, at some point, easy to assume that, Susie Q and Guru X must know better for like what's better for you than you knowing what's better for you. I think I said that confusing. I think at some point we decided that so-and-so must know better about ourselves than we know ourselves, right? And the more I think about that, I don't think that's true. I think that's an idea we've been sold, that we have to look to this expert, we have to look to this guru because we don't know what's right for us. They do. And at the end of the day, like, that just can't be true. Who knows you better than you? Who knows me better than me, right? When I started to really think about coaching, like 2 years ago now at this point, when I really started to like have an interest and look into programs and look into how people offered coaching, I very quickly became dead set on figuring out how to coach in a way that didn't have me prescribing solutions, because I knew so clearly that there was just no way that I was going to know what's best for you. That's not what I want to do. I want to be able to help facilitate you trusting yourself to know what's best for you to make those decisions for you. And furthermore, trusting yourself to learn and to grow and to evolve from the decisions that you do make, which I guess in a way is kind of what I'm sharing with this episode, right? Like I made decisions and I'm learning from them. And so, like I said before, this is one of like 5 events in the last couple of weeks or so that have really led to some really big breakthroughs. And I definitely want to share more with you in the future. But I hope in hearing this reflection, it maybe opens up something in you to explore about like, where are you outsourcing to what others say you should do? Where are you ignoring the part of you that maybe feels it's wrong or a bad fit or out of integrity or just not going to work for you? And what's preventing you from leaning into what's actually right for you? Even if that's going against what, the gurus and the experts say, right? I know I'll be thinking about this a lot for the rest of the year. And these are the kind of questions and things that I ask myself inside my aligned business audit. And that's something that I'm creating to share with you for the first time ever as well. So if you want to get on the waitlist for that, head to CaitlinKessler.com/ABA, and that'll be available basically as soon as I finish it. And I'll send you more info soon. So thank you for listening to this episode. I know it's a little different from some of our normal ones, but I really wanted to share just kind of what's been going on in my world because I feel like a lot of things are happening and I'm learning a lot really recently, and it's really powerful stuff. So let me know what you think. Head over to Instagram, send me a DM, and let's chat more about it there.